The idea of a person under law means that you have the ability to assert and defend certain rights, and that government itself is not allowed to infringe upon them. Right? Like, for example, I will argue that I have the right to marry who I want, whether they're a male, female, or a non-gender conforming person, and that I don't need society's approval. So it would be illegitimate for the state of California or the U.S. government to pass laws. Now they do and they have, but it's an illegitimate infringement upon my individual rights as a person, right? So the question is then, well, who is a person? Do you know what percentage of human beings who lived on this continent in 1787 when the United States of America was created and the Constitution was ratified? Do you know what percentage of human beings were persons under law?
I don't know the percent, but I know it was land owning white men.
About 4%. So only land owning white males were actually legally persons who could assert those beautiful rights that we've been ingrained to lift up in the US Constitution. Now, do you know that corporations under law now are considered persons? That means that corporate lawyers can go into court and argue that any democratically enacted law violates the corporation's rights. It means labor laws, environmental protection laws, worker safety laws. Like, we don't have even the semblance of the ability to control huge transnational corporations using our electoral process because the legal system ensures that even if we work our butts off in this completely ridiculous system that doesn't work anyway, the electoral system, they've got a fail safe called the courts that will allow them to overturn any legislation that we're able to get through this completely corrupted system. It's a hell of a trick that the ruling elite have done.
There are a lot of blockades, I think you could phrase it that way, set up to protect businesses. I mean, too big to fail. You always run into that roadblock.
Right.
Do y So your idea would be kind of devolving that and putting them back into the realm where we can touch
Listen,
them and hold them accountable.
I want to be really clear about this part too. I'm not anti corporation, I'm pro democracy, which means that the word democracy just means demos means, do you know?
I do not.
The
Right,
people.
I'm getting a fantastic lesson over here.
Demos means the people. Kratia means rule or power. So literally breaking it down, democracy means the people rule. Nick, do you think the people rule in the United States of America today? You don't. You
Ah,
know you don't.
I mean, it's tricky. To what extent is
Yeah,
how I would counter
fair
that.
enough. No, you are a cautious. Uh, uh, your discourse is very precise. So, and I appreciate that. But I'll tell you this: we can look at the polling data and show that the overwhelming majority of people want to see a different society. There's no doubt about that. Now, what I would argue is this: that in a true democratic republic, individual rights would be respected, but we would also have a democratic process by which we decide how to organize society writ large. We don't have that because corporations are literally they're corporations, huge transnational corporations are not just exercising power, they're literally ruling us, which really means the small ruling elite that not just the 1%, but the 0.01% are actually using the thing called a corporation in order to rule over us. So when I say I'm not anti corporation, but I still make a statement like that, it's because a corporation is just a tool. You know what language the word corporation comes from?
Think you're gonna tell me.
But if you guess it, you'll be right this time.
Oh, Latin?
It is Latin. Corpus means body. And so corporation means the act of giving body to. So literally the word corporation just means to give body to. It's why in law school, like I'm a lawyer by training, to incorporate or a corporation is a legal fiction. What? That means it doesn't really exist in the real world, but we're going to pretend like con- co- this conflation of people and contracts and buildings is all one thing, right? So here's what's interesting. The word corporation comes from Latin because the first corporations ever created by the genius of the human mind were done during the time of the Roman Republic. Not, by the way, the Roman Empire, but the Roman Republic. And the first corporations were used to build hospitals, universities, roads. You know that famous "all roads lead to Rome." All that intricate road system were built by corporations, right? What do universities, hospitals, roads, the water system built by a corporation? What do all those have in common, Nick?
I mean, they're all foundational to a healthy society.
They are all foundational to a healthy society, and they're all public goods. The original idea of the corporation was to create a mechanism by which private money could be amassed and organized in such a way to perform public goods. That's phenomenal. That's fantastic. And if we had proper democratic control over that form of the mechanism of amassing people to do things in a democratic republic, I'm for it. That'd be great. The reality is that under the current system, it's not actually how it works. Do you know of like, another pop quiz for you? Ready? How many colonies in the founding of the United States of America?
13.
Did you know that 12 of those 13 colonies were corporations?
I did know that actually from watching you
Oh,
speak on it in one of your videos.
well, I'm honored that you did that. But isn't that interesting, right? So, in a very real way, I would argue that the American Revolution was not merely a rejection of monarchy as a form of rule. It was absolutely that. And that's a good thing, right? But deeper still, it was a people's uprising against corporate rule. If you look at the Declaration of Independence, it begins when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to. It's beautiful language, right? But most of that document is a set of grievances, and many of those grievances were a bit against the British empire and royalty. But many of them were also very specifically against the use of the British East Indies Company, the East India Company, and a whole series of corporations. The American Revolution is literally a people's uprising against how that was operating.